She was loved. She was hated. But she was never ignored. A woman born above a small grocery shop would one day shake the foundations of Britain, challenge the Soviet Union, ignite revolutions in economics, and become known to the world as the Iron Lady. But behind the speeches, and behind the iron, was a woman of fierce discipline, deep conviction, and a childhood that shaped a legend. This is the real story of Margaret Thatcher. Before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because this is the kind of history you won't see in textbooks. Margaret Thatcher once said, "You may have to fight a battle more than once to win it." And throughout her life, she fought battles that defined the 20th century: political, economic, personal, and global. This film will take you through every major turning point, with the quotes, controversies, and triumphs that made her unforgettable. Margaret Hilda Roberts was born on October 13, 1925, in Grantham, England, a quiet town far from the halls of power. Her father, Alfred Roberts, was a grocer, preacher, and local politician who taught her to things that shaped her destiny: self-reliance, responsibility. In 1959, Margaret finally entered Parliament. Colleagues underestimated her. Some mocked her voice, her style, even her gender. But she sharpened her debating skills until they couldn't ignore her. In 1970, she became Education Secretary, where she earned her first nickname, Thatcher, Milk Snatcher, after ending free school milk to save government costs. The press attacked her. Protesters screamed her name. But she remained unmoved because, as she said, "If you set out to be liked, you will accomplish nothing." By 1975, Britain was drowning in inflation, strikes, and economic chaos. The Conservative Party needed a leader with steel, and Margaret Thatcher shocked the world, becoming the first woman to lead a major Western political party. Her critics laughed, but they weren't laughing for years later, when she became the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. She later remembered his lessons in a quote that would define her politics: "There is no such thing as society. There are individual men and women, and there are families." Margaret was brilliant, determined, unshakably hard-working. She studied chemistry at Oxford, but it wasn't science that captured her heart. It was politics. At just 24, she ran for Parliament for the first time. She lost, then ran again, lost again. But she had already spoken the words that would echo throughout her life: defeat. I do not recognize the meaning of the word. What happened next would either save Britain or tear it apart. Thatcher's early years in office were brutal. Unemployment soared. Strikes erupted. Her approval rating crashed to 23%, the lowest of any modern PM. But she refused to change course. When asked if she would compromise, she delivered her most iconic line: "The lady's not for turning." She pushed forward with privatizing failing industries, crushing inflation, facing down powerful unions, redefining Britain's economy. Then came the turning point: the Falklands War. When Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands in 1982, many expected Britain to negotiate. Thatcher did not. Defeat. Not while I breathe. The British victory transformed her from controversial into unstoppable. She won re-election in a landslide. Thatcher believed deeply in freedom and capitalism. She formed a legendary partnership with U.S. President Ronald Reagan. Together, they confronted the Soviet Union, directly challenging communism. She famously said of Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev, "I like Mr. Gorbachev. We can do business together." Her support helped accelerate negotiations that eventually contributed to the end of the Cold War. But power comes at a cost. Her own party began to turn against her, especially over the deeply unpopular poll tax in 1990. After 11 years as Prime Minister, she was forced to resign, tears in her eyes as she left Downing Street. Yet even in those difficult moments, she held to her philosophy. To me, consensus seems to be the process of abandoning all beliefs. Her departure marked the end of an era, but not the end of her influence. Margaret Thatcher changed Britain, economically, politically, and globally. Love her or hate her, no one can deny her impact. She once said, "Being powerful is like being a lady. If you have to tell people you are, you aren't." But history speaks for her. From a grocer's daughter to the most powerful woman in the world, her journey wasn't just politics. It was a revolution. Asterisk, if you enjoyed this documentary, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. More powerful stories from history are coming soon.